So on to the next event, which is my club's own event, VC Revolution, a club that I've been involved with since the start. We put the same event on every year, which is a sort of a medium hilly course, pretty tough. I went out with the gold group, which was pretty fast from the start. I think this is just coming up to one of the first sort of significant climbs. I mean, it's nice, there are no big climbs down here, that's why I call it the Flatlands, but it's tough enough for us to you know, to have to put an effort in. And again, the plan here, similar to what I said before, is to position myself towards the front of the group, so that when we hit the climb, I know I'm not the best climber, I know I'm heavier than most of these guys, I can just slip back and find myself maybe towards the back end of the group, by the top, but still with them. There's a bit of a fight going on here for the guys to try and find position, because they know the climb's coming on. We're on the sort of the little drag up before the climb here, and you can see everyone's sort of jostling and trying to get themselves going. And there's a couple of guys that are getting ready to clip off the front. So I'm just trying to stay near the front, trying to follow again wheels that I trust with my club mates there, without going too deep. 500 watts I can do for, you know, a minute, maybe 550 for a minute, something like that. But you know, I'm sort of going pretty deep here, so I'm just letting the wheel in front of me go. Pete's a lot stronger than me. He's also about 6 or 7 kilos lighter than me as well, probably more than that actually. So let those guys go, let people come past me, and just try and stay within my own limits. And this is where it's really useful to have a power meter. It's because you almost go into time trial mode. You know what your limits are, you know how hard you can go, and you're just trying to stick within that. So I'm trying to not exceed 500 watts, no matter how many of these guys come past me, no matter how hard they're going, no matter how many young lads like Cameron there come flying past me. I'm not going to go with it. I'm just going to try and stay within my own limits and just get over the top of this. And you know what follows a climb? It's normally a descent, so there's every chance you're going to get back on the descent. And in this case, we're just approaching the top now. I think this is the last couple of guys in the group coming past me, so I've pretty much gone from the first 4 or 5 wheels to right to the back. But there we are, we're at the top of the climb. I'm still in the wheels, I'm still within the group. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a little bit of a kick out of this junction here just to stay in the group, but that's what I've done. I've managed to stay in the group when clearly I've probably just climbed that climb 15-20 seconds slower than the guys at the front. So same course, this is about 6 or 7 miles further in, and we're just about to approach another one of the climbs. And this is kind of an example of how that plan that I just sort of outlined can go slightly wrong. So I'm a little bit further down the group here, and yeah, there we go, disaster. We've all ridden into a horse box, which if you're a heavier guy and you don't have that sort of you know ability to jump on the climbs, there's nothing worse than having to go from a stationary start, especially when you're a little bit further down the group and it gets sort of strung out and then it will bunch up. And that is exactly what happens here. You can see the guys have, you know, from the stunning start, I've gone quite hard. So I'm thinking, oh god, I'm in trouble here. But again, just trying to control the number of watts. But then they've sat up as they start to come back into a group again, and you think, well, that's okay, I'll just sit here. But then they've all realized they've come together, so they kick again. That means I've got to put in a little kick, which is not my forte. I'm someone that likes to keep the pace the same, keep the watts the same, and I'm starting to lose the wheel again. And then they all have to stop again because there's another car, so that's not great. But then because you've got that bottleneck, they all get squeezed. So what happens? There's another kick because it's strung out, and the third time this happens, the third kick, that's it, the elastic goes. And now I'm in a spot of bother because I'm at the back of the group, we're only halfway up the climb, and they're disappearing up the road. And you can see this gap's gone quite quick. There's some quicker boys behind me that are just eating up that gap like I'm standing still. When you start to be dropped by a group like this though, often the thing that most people do is panic, put in a massive effort to try and get back on, and they may get back on, but then they're just going to get blown out on the next hill or the next time there's a jump, because they've spent all of their available resources. So the key thing here is not to panic. I'm just trying to stay within what I know I can do, try and get a bit of recovery as well. So riding just below threshold, I'm quite a bit above threshold there, but just trying to stay below threshold. And what I've done is I've just sort of sped this bit up to try and demonstrate how long I was off the back of this group. And it was a long old while. I could see them at all times, and to be honest, I was starting to panic that I wouldn't be getting back on. But you got to remember as well is that you've just done a climb, and we're kind of on the plateau on the top here, so there's going to be a descent. It's quite a big group in front, so the one thing with a big group is it's never going to descend as quickly as you can on your own, because it will string out and the guy at the back has to go a lot slower. So you can see we just started the descent here, and I'm not taking risks, riding it quite sensibly, and we're straight back onto the group. So I spent probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 minutes off the back there, but because I didn't panic, because I didn't go so deep and just destroy myself, I still feel quite good here. I've actually had a little bit of recovery on the descent as well, and catching the back of the group is just the first thing. What you got to remember is that these guys in the back of the group, they're the ones that are suffering. So straight away, again, it's about moving up, it's about regaining that position towards the front of the group so that you can respond to the way that the group stretches, the way that the group you get that accordion effect where it squishes together and then stretches. Because if you're at the front, you can respond to that a little quicker. You're in a far better position to deal with any breaks or splits in the group, and also you've got that technique again for when you hit the next climb, you can just slide back down. So again, probably being helped out by some of the oncoming cars here as well, but you know, I'm right back up here. There's a couple of teammates there in front of me, and you know, probably didn't even realise I was out of the group, to be perfectly honest with you. But like that, we're back in the group and we live to fight on the next climb. Now, one thing I want to just talk about in this video is echelons. So you can see here the wind is coming from our left and we are spread right across the road in an attempt to try and get some shelter. Now, should we be this far across the road? Probably not, but it does not give anyone the excuse to do that. You know, that guy's got family, and you know, if you run over him with your 4x4, you're gonna kill him. So not the smartest of moves I've ever seen. But anyway, back to echelons. So this is a little bit further down the route. As I said, the wind's coming from our left, and you can see the guy in the front is over in the left gutter, but I'm all the way over on the white line, and to be honest with you, most of the time I'm on the wrong side of the road. And that is simply because each and every one of us is trying to get shelter from that wind coming from our left. It was quite a tough wind, and you can see, well, I've just slipped behind Pete there. I'm doing 350 watts. When I get inside his wheel, outside of his wheel, and get some shelter from the wind, I'm doing sort of 140 watts. So there's a massive difference there. I can do 140 watts for 3, 4, 5 hours. I can do 350 watts for 3 minutes. You know, so it's a huge difference. And what you've got to remember as well is that we're echeloned across the road, and I'm at the limit of what's really acceptable. You know, I'm on the wrong side of the road. I've got to duck in when there's oncoming traffic. So what's happening to the guys behind me? They either take even more risks than I'm taking, or they have to go to the gutter and set up a new echelon, which means they're doing a hell of a lot more work. They're expending a lot more energy than I am. So, you know, echelons are an important thing, and reading where the road is going in relation to the wind, and so therefore where you need to be in relation to that echelon is pretty important as well. The wind is also really important when it comes to climbing. I talked earlier in this video about positioning and allowing yourself to slip back through the group. And again, this is Lavenham here, which is a pretty little village, nice place to take your mother-in-law for a coffee on a Sunday. But by this point, we've done 30 miles. We've been riding pretty hard, and this is a stiff little climb. So again, you know, I'm positioned up the group, trying to allow myself room to slip back down. But the difference here is that whereas the wind before was coming from our left, we've turned now, and the wind is actually going to start coming from our right. So it's all well and good. I'm following the same technique as earlier, anticipating that I'll be able to drop back through the wheels, then hang on to the guys as they accelerate over the top of the hill, and continue along, because we're not too far from the point where the route flattens out again for a little bit. Unfortunately, what happens is we get to the top here, and the first thing that happens is that the guy on the front starts gunning it. You can see there's a big increase in watts there. I've just started to think, oh good, at the top of the hill I'm going to recover, and then there's a big kick, so I've just let a little gap there, a little gap go there, which isn't great, but I'm slowly trying to bring that back. But the problem is the wind's now coming from our right, and then you can see, whereas before we had an echelon which was giving us shelter, in order to have an echelon here, the guy on the front needs to be across the road on the white line to allow everyone to be inside him, but he's not done that. He's gone to the gutter. Now I'd like to think that he was just maybe wasn't thinking. I suspect he was trying to hurt everyone, because if you want to hurt the guys behind you, that's what you do. You go to the gutter, you deny them shelter, and you make sure that they're having to do the same watts that you're doing on the front. So you can see I'm struggling here. I'm really struggling to keep hold of this wheel. Every time the road just kicks up a little bit, I'm letting it go, and these guys have realised I'm the weak link and have come past. But again, I'm not panicking. Let them come past, and I'll sit on the back, because what I'm not really anticipating is what's about to happen, which is we just come along this road and the hedgerow disappears, and that means that we get the full force of the wind coming from the right, and I've already let a big gap go. I think it's about this point I suddenly realise I'm toast, because there's no way I'm getting back on. I've had no shelter. I've been doing high watts all the way along here. A couple of lads here, Andy Hurst and Cam Hurst, are trying to close it, but to be honest with you, they're going to struggle, and even if they make it, they're going to suffer, because they're doing a big effort to get across, and they're going to get on the back of a pace line that's in the gutter, where there's no shelter. So they're already toast. I'm saying this with hindsight. I was burying myself here to try and get back on, but it wasn't going to happen, and I ended up riding the last 15-20 miles of this with Andy and Cameron. Great guys. We actually had a pretty good ride back in.